And I don't know, it can't be bothered with all that music shit either.
No, we're not doing music shit. We're just going to start podcast.
Just go with it. Yeah, I feel like I'm more about flow now. I'm just let it out. Just get it out.
Are about the flow. And Elle is back in the house.
Woo!
Woo!
Hello.
She is back from her crazy travelling. And we're actually here in person together.
Yay!
Live. So this is very exciting. And we have tea. And we have fruit. We've got everything going on here.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, I did find, when we had the Witch's Tea Party from the hat, 3 little things, and I found them on my shelves in there, and I thought, these ones I didn't do. See, I'm sure we've done this one. So we've pulled out Sex and Money, which is 2 evils, ha ha ha.
I don't think we've done Sex and Money. I think we've mentioned it in different things.
Well, I'm more the sexy witch and you're more the money witch, and I was like, haha, they're depicted as the 2 evils in the world. Life purpose, yeah, I'm sure we haven't done life purpose.
Okay.
I really want to get into that.
Belief stories, sabotaging behaviours.
Beliefs, stories, sabotaging behaviours.
Okay. So do we go with life purpose? Are you feeling the draw to do that one?
I think because it's come up for a lot of people. I've seen on kind of different Facebook groups and chats, and people are like, there's still that stage of, what do you do? How do you know if it's a calling? How do you action that? What does it look like? And there's been quite a lot of promotional materials out there, like books and stuff, like all about leaning into your intuition rather than logic.
Yeah.
So
beautiful.
Yeah,
it's actually really funny because I'm about to publish that book, 6 Steps to Unleash Your Soul's Purpose and Gifts, and it's actually funny that came through, because as I was channeling that book, I learned so much. And a lot of people, I think their purpose is what you do for a job, what you do for a living, how do you make money, but it's actually far more than that. And it's really about tuning, like you said, into your intuition, into your inner being, and discovering, what are my desires, what's calling to me, what do I desire to create, because ultimately you're here to create, you're a creator. And I think we forget that. And it was interesting, I think it was in the 4th chapter of the book, Divine channeled through and said, the awakening your unique purpose, the first step is actually tuning into, what are your unique desires. So what do you desire to create, what do you desire to be, what do you desire to do, have, and experience, and you hold the energy and the power within you to create that and bring that forth. And I thought that's really interesting, because you've got stuff about purpose, and they kind of crap on about careers and career quizzes and what am I to be doing for a living. But it's more about, what are you doing as a being?
As a being,
who are you being? Who do I want to become? Yeah, if that makes sense. So that was interesting. I was like, desires. Okay, cool. And I was saying that desire is the beginning point of all creation, and what you desire, God desires for you. Because to desire actually is the feminine. It's interesting. They say desire has, like the word God, has a lot of taboo, has a lot of shame or guilt or dirty, or it's bad or it's evil. And that's kind of then kept us suppressed and controlled, I think, in a lot of ways. Because, don't listen to your desires of the heart. It's the devil speaking if you listen to some religious.
It's depicted as lust, isn't it? It's lust. It's like something it's getting obsessive about. It's spoken a lot in Tantra. Osho addresses it, Kali, Ma, and I forgot the actual terminology now, but yeah, there's a whole chapter on desire, like what actually is it, and is it illusionary, and what's underneath it. But yeah, to come back to the life purpose and unpacking it, a point that I really want to make to people out there is that it's okay to let it evolve. That's what I've definitely learned from you.
It's organic.
Because when we go to college, when we go to school, it's like, choose what you want to be, and that's it. And I didn't do a creative writing degree because I was told by a careers counsellor that would lead to being a teacher. I thought, I don't want to be a fucking teacher at school. That was it, dead end. And then I became an accountant, and you're like, well, you're stuck as an accountant for life. It's like, no, I've changed careers so many times, and it's lovely to evolve. Yes. So whatever your life purpose is, to know that that's going to change, and that it's going to be fun to let that change, and it's reflecting your inner work, and to just let that let that happen.
Exactly. It's organic. And coming back to like the desire word, it's like, because your desires are going to change as you grow and evolve, and then what you want to create and bring forth and birth next. And it was interesting, I remember in one of the channelings that I received was that your life purpose is not solid, it's not stagnant, it's not fixed. It's like you're an evolving being. So you might have yesterday decided, like me, oh my God, as you know, with my journey, I've morphed into so much shit over the last few years. I've been a womb witch, and then I've been a Welsh shaman, but it's just labels. But it's just following those desires of what wants to come through me, like letting what's in you out. So a lot of the time with our purpose, we've got it the wrong way around, where we look at it as like an outside in job, but it's not. It's from the inside out. So it's like, what do I desire? What's wanting to come through me? So the gifts that God has given you to create and share with the world is your purpose, is your calling. So if you desire to be a healer, if you desire to be a spiritual teacher, if you desire to be a writer, all of that as well. And I think it comes back also being financially supported. You're supported in your purpose, because I think that's what holds a lot of people back on following that, because they think they're conditioned by school and society that it's not profitable, you can't make a living, you have to become an accountant, one of the Fab Five careers of like a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, or a government worker, or a teacher. I know, but you see it in our schooling system. It's like you must conform and fit into this matrix. Whereas we're here now to break out of that. And it's like, well, fuck all that. Fuck what everyone else thinks. What do you want? What do you desire?
And I've met so many people on my journey, they feel like they have to have this job to earn money, and then their hobby or creative passion is on the side.
Yeah.
And I had this very early on when I had a martial arts school. And this woman, she had this great opportunity to take over and be a full-time martial arts instructor. And I had told her my story. I'd made the change from accountancy, that you got to throw yourself into this. And she was always holding back. It's like, no, I'll just do my shitty printing job that I hate every day, 9 to fucking 5, that I detest, and it's making me depressed. But that's sensible. So I'll keep that and I'll just do this on the side. And you know what? Never fucking worked. And I never got that commitment from her. So that's the first thing to embrace, is to actually get over the fact that you can turn whatever you love into not just making money, but it's fulfilling your whole life. That's what people don't really get, is that making money is like a very natural bonus out of it, but you get to do and express who you are and love what you do in a completely different way. That's what is fulfilling. And the thought, I think I was even driving to the clinic this morning, and being self-employed and just thinking, I think I saw someone running on the street, and I thought, oh yeah, because lots of people finished up work for now, because you're told this is your Christmas break, so this is your holiday, and then you come back to work on this date. And I was horrified at just the thought of someone else telling me this is when you come back to work, and I'm like, I work when I want to work. If I don't want to work, I'm not going to work. I want to go for a run, I'm going to go for a run. And I was like, oh my God, that was me. I was stuck in the system. That's the system. And we've all been there. And it's so hard to get on the other side. And when you're on the other side, it's like, we're here. You can do it too.
I know, I love it. And the other thing too, I think what's coming through that wants to be said in today's podcast as well, is that not only is your person fully financially supported, your source of wealth and abundance is already within you, and the divine has got your back. And I think money, what people don't realize is that money is unconditional. Money doesn't just come to you through a job or through this avenue or that avenue. It is unconditional, because money in itself, when you remove the numbers and the manifestation of it, it's just energy. And all energy comes from the one source of the divine, and it flows through you and out of you. So when you're tapping into the world within you, your desires, what lights you up, what brings you joy, you become a high vibrational expression. Then you open up your channels then for the love, the wealth, the joy, the abundance, the money, making ideas to flow through you and out of you. So again, it's like when you make the material world and money your source, you are then giving your power away, because your source is within you. Your source of wealth, your money, your abundance, your creativity, everything is within you. It's not outside of you. So the first place when I say to people about your purpose is looking within you and getting clear on what is it you desire, what's calling you, because when you follow what you desire, you're going to be lit up with joy, with love, with creativity, with passion, and that energy is a high vibration, and then it opens you up to higher frequencies of wealth and abundance, creative expression, guidance, angels, all that kind of fun stuff. But yeah, when you're in that lower 3D frequency, it's that hard struggle. It's like I can either have this or this. It's like people don't believe you can have purpose and prosperity. It's like, oh, I have to have purpose and then a fucking job, that I hate. It's like we divide it, if that makes sense, which is what you classically explained with the lady.
And I've seen on Facebook recently, actually, there's another leader. He does lots of men's programs. I love his energy. I love his direction. And he said something like, we need you all to realize your spiritual power, and that comes with money. Otherwise, we're all fucked. And it's like, you know, you were talking about when you coached me about, you know, having my pricing too low, and it made you sad. And I get that now. And even with other work, you just go, oh, don't devalue yourself. And let's face it, no matter what job you're in, when you're employed, you never feel it's enough. You never really go, my salary, yep, that totally reflects my worth. That reflects all the hours I put in, all the time, effort, stress. It never, ever, ever is enough. You want more, 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 because your goal is, well, I go to work to earn money to pay the bills. So that is what needs to change, because it's like, as soon as you turn that question to how can I be of service to humanity, that's not about money. Money, that's like you say, money's just sitting there going, hey, I'm yours no matter what.
Yeah.
Like,
money
don't
doesn't
discriminate.
Exactly. Money doesn't have any beliefs about you, but you have beliefs about money that either open its flow or hinder its flow.
Yeah.
You know, and it's really coming down to your beliefs. If you believe that you can only do a soul-sucking job, that you must stay in your shitty relationships, in a shitty house, in a shitty way, that's all you're available for, then the universe loves you unconditionally. It just keeps delivering you what you keep asking for with your energy and your vibration, ultimately your belief systems, because a belief is nothing more than a practice vibration. So if you believe that you can't make a living with your purpose and you have to do a soul-sucking job, you split your energy, you know, and you create more of that for yourself. Whereas if you believe, actually, no, I get to be fully financially supported in sharing my gifts, in sharing my soul's message, in creating a beautiful, profitable business, and you'll be guided, you'll be shown the way. Like, a lot of us get caught up in the how, and as soon as we start questioning the fucking how, we block up the flow. We go into ego, we go into logical mind, because the ego wants to know a fucking plan, it wants to know how everything's going to work out, whereas God works in the present moment. And so once you're clear on what you want, what you desire, you declare that to the divine, then you're going to start getting ideas on things that you can create, things you can share that may not necessarily make sense to you, but it's your job to act on that. So then action is a big key. It's like, oh, hang on, I've just gotten that idea, I've got to act on that. Because the other thing you need to know is that God sent that same idea to about several other people, because it knows most people won't act on that shit. So it's like, okay, well, I've sent this idea to 7 people, one of them's going to bloody move on it. So sometimes people will think, oh, I got that idea 2 years ago, and then they'll see someone else and they've done really, really well with it. So you are going to get guidance from within you, and guidance comes in the forms of visions, repetitive ideas, inspirational things that you think, wow, but then doubt, fear, and judgment, and then the logical mind going, oh, how's that going to make fucking money? Like Amanda just beautifully said, don't focus on the money, focus on how can I be of service. How is this thing going to benefit my life and other people's lives? You know, what have I learned on my journey that can be of service to other people? You know, what's my message? That's another thing too that's quickly coming through, is if you're not sure what your soul's message is, imagine you've got 2 minutes to tell 1,000 people a very important message. What is that message? You might even want to stand in front of your mirror with a hairbrush for a microphone. Imagine you're standing out, and just open up your vocal cords and just let what's in you be expressed. It could be gibberish at first, but then just what is my message, and just blah. And then you'll find that what comes out of you, that message is showing you what is your soul's work, you're part of your purpose. So when I did that exercise a while ago, it always comes down to empowering people to recognize they are a creator of their own reality. Their purpose is ultimately to create and bring forth the gifts that are within them. And then helping people to then put that into money and wealth creation ideas and businesses and things like that. But the thing is, you've got to take action on the guidance. You've got to show up every day, commit to what's in you, let what's in you out, and what's in you will liberate you and show you the way. It's not outside. That makes sense. So, yeah, a lot of us do.
That's such a good point to make. So I keep wanting to say, you know, when you could be sitting here listening to this going, yeah, but I just don't know what my life purpose is. And when you're right at the beginning, and I remember that moment, and I think the crucial thing to remember is that you don't need to know what it is per se. It's a beautiful process to let that unfold.
Yeah.
It's just recognizing that you may be stuck and that you can change that at any point. So that moment for me was sitting at the computer after many years of being an accountant, just going, I just know I'm not supposed to be here on this earth to do spreadsheets. That's all I got. That is all I knew. And I then took a massive leap of faith, exactly like Elle said. I said this to someone just yesterday, last night, and I said, forget about the how. Okay, we can't figure that shit out. That's not for us to do. Just focus on your highest version of yourself and your best life. What does that look like?
Who do you want to become?
Yeah, and then everything else will flow and click into place. So for me, that I was actually trying to change my job because I felt unfulfilled as an accountant. So I was like, I know, I'm going to work for some like kick-ass charity, and then I'm going to feel really fulfilled. And I actually went to take a pay cut. I went and got I was turned down for all these other jobs. Finally got a job at the charity, and they were scratching their heads, going, "Why are you taking a pay cut?" And I was like, because I want to feel fulfilled. I'm yearning for that. And then I never took the job because actually I had to come to Australia, and I had to make that big, brave decision, that big leap of faith of going, I don't know how I'm going to make it. I don't know how. I don't know how. I don't know how. I don't know how. I'm just going to fucking do it. And I'm going to find a way. And I've done it. And it's like everyone loves to hear that story. It's not a success story, but it's come with so many teachings. It's been so hard because it's not always the easiest path or the path of least resistance. It's the path of your growth. And that's why some people may start something, go, okay, I'm going to write this book. Like, oh no, it's all too hard. And that's what you're saying about showing up, making that commitment, showing up every day.
Yeah, because you're going to get challenges.
And that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it, and working through that.
Yeah, because it's like, it's all that kind of that growth. Is like a lot of people tend to think, oh, well, if suddenly my path becomes really rough and tough and it's, then I should just give up, but it's not. It's actually just like you're cleaning out also sometimes old debris, old belief systems, old frequencies that don't serve you. And I think, like the manager said, it's like making a daily commitment to showing up for what's in you. So for example, I'll just quickly share my daily process for showing up for my purpose is I now have, it's turned actually 2.5 hour bloody morning commitment. Started off with 10 minutes, 30 minutes, and it's turned into, but I have a commitment that every day I show up and I write a blog post. I write in the books that I'm creating, and I'll create a piece of content, something. And what I just simply do, and you can do this as well, even if you just get a journal and set aside 5 minutes first thing in the morning or in the evening, any time of the day that works best for you, and you just start writing. Just start expressing what's in you, and it can be absolute gibberish. And there's actually a woman that she started a movement called 750 words, and if you just write 750 words daily, that actually helps you to tap into your subconscious. It starts opening up your creative ideas, your creative flow, and just start really sitting with yourself, like even just taking that time to just write, but also setting time in your day just to sit with your own heart and ask yourself, what do I desire to create today? What do I desire to share today? What's my message today? And just sit with yourself until you can feel or sense something that wants to come through, or just write it out, or you can paint it out or cook it out, like whatever is your creative expression. Because as you start to kind of just take those little steps, big results are not made from big steps. They're made from bit by bit, day by day, commitment.
Little Socrates, it was like big things are made on small foundations.
Oh, I haven't heard that. Yeah, that could be something. Maybe I'm channeling Socrates. He's in the house. It's just because people, I think, sabotage themselves. And I did this for a long time because I thought, well, if I'm not making big things, big every day, then I'm just going to give up. And I would self-sabotage. I suppose it's just little things. 5 minutes here. I've got time to record something, write something, share something. It's in the little moments that add up to the big stuff. So start making a daily commitment to set a time, non-negotiable time, whether it's 10 minutes, half an hour. It might morph into a ridiculous 2 hours like me at the moment, and just commit to what's in you, what wants to come out of you, what wants to come to because what's in you will not only liberate you, it will show you what your message is, what your work is. It will open up the channels to God so you can start getting money-making ideas. You want to start circulating that energy. So often when people are in a lot of lack and scarcity or struggle around their purpose, it's not because there's a problem, you just got an energy block. So you've just got to start moving your energy, making daily habits to support that, if that makes sense. Anyway, Amanda, sorry, you were going to say something.
I was thinking of some great examples, but also to bring up the fact that it's creating space, isn't it? It's a bit like going to a yoga class and you're stretching your muscles and you're creating space within the body. And meditation creates space within the mind. So when you can with practice move your ego out of the way just for long enough
2 seconds
all that self-doubt, and it's like, what are you fucking doing, you're wasting your fucking time. If you just push that to the side for a second to let that creative flow come through, then it's amazing what you can achieve, because I've written 2 books this year, and I've always like, oh my God, I haven't written a book, because I've had this massive project. I need to get it edited professionally. I need to get someone to publish it. Da, da, da. One, and it's actually, and they're small books. So one's 50 pages, one's 30 pages. But you know what? They're still fucking books, and I love them. And people have read them and gone, these are really fucking good.
Yay.
And I've now turned it into a series. So now I've got a mini series.
Beautiful.
And then the next step is where you can publish it on Amazon and make money from it, and all these other things. And when Elle was talking about doing small things and, you know, like doing chunks of things, recordings, I've been doing this for a year now. And I've been sitting here scratching my head again, like the universe going, it's coming. I'm like, how is all this going to come together? There's something I should be doing. I'm not quite sure what it is. I'm not really getting inspired by anything. My website's kind of dead there. It's just kind of like, you know, I'm not feeling inspired, but I'm still passionate about what I want to do. So how do I do that? And then boom came along, just happened to see an advertisement that I'd seen and brushed over it, you know, 3 or 4 times. Actually saw the webinar, everything made sense, and went, you can create your own app. And I've got all the content there. I can just drag and fucking drop. All I've got to do is edit it. I've got the photos. I've done a photo shoot this year. I've got the books. I've got meditations. I've got podcasts. I've got, you know, all these blogs that I've been writing. And you're thinking, even if it doesn't come together exactly as perfect as what I want, because that's another good thing, is perfectionism, is our self-sabotage.
Let's just do it.
I keep thinking of circles, right? It's a way of bringing it all together. So I've got the website, I've got my social media, I've got the emails, I've got the app now. It's all working in conjunction together. And you know what? This is the most interesting thing that happened. I made the purchasing decision to jump on it. I was a bit like, I'm an intuitive buyer. I like to think about things, mull it over a little bit. I'm not going to get pressured into a hard sell. And it was Black Friday, and I was like, Amanda, I did the maths. This is a bargain, right? It's like $2,000. It was under $2,000. It was like, we're not talking 10, we're not talking 60 grand to create an app, right? That would have been a big fat failure. $2,000. If nothing else happens, that's okay. It's $2,000. But as soon as I made the purchasing decision, I actually became sick and needed to take time out, so I couldn't do any work on it. And then I started getting sales leads. And this is the second or third time. When I do nothing, I get sales leads.
Yeah.
When you were coaching me, I'm like, how the fuck is this working? And you actually said to me, like, do nothing. Don't work on your website anymore. Stop it. Just do nothing. And I was like, I can't do nothing. I'm not programmed that way. I have to do something. And every time I do nothing, people come in and say, hey, I want to work with you. Can you tell me more? And I'm going, And I've actually had to say, look, give me some space, give me some time, I'll come back to you. But everything started coming in. Like one day I didn't put any posts on. So this was about 3 weeks ago. And I woke up with like 12 new likes. I'm like, what? Like, who are these people? Where are they just gravitating into my vortex?
Because it's like you lean in and you lean back.
I needed this downtime. What I'm learning more, I have to be responsible for creating more and more space in my life where I'm not flogging myself, overworking, burning out, and concentrating on other stuff. Because when that space happens, everything flows in and it flows through.
Because you're allowing it. It's like people, I think in our culture, because we've lived under that very masculine, patriarchal thing for so many thousands of years, we've become addicted to doing. We've become addicted to go, do, burn yourself out. You know, success only comes from the heels of hard fucking work. And it's like, and now there's a massive way. It's beautiful to see, but especially female entrepreneurs are leading the way at the moment, where they're really empowering about ease and grace and pleasure. And you get to create things and build things from a place with your purpose work and your gifts from a place of pleasure and ease and grace. And it's like you're allowing things to come to you. So there's none of this kind of, so your soul might guide you one day. Okay, for example, you've built your product, your service, you put all that energy into it. And then your soul might say, okay, you need to just go and chill the fuck out on the beach for a week, you know, and then in that space, as you chill out on the beach, you're softening, relaxing, open your energy, and then you're allowing what you've been, you know, to come to you. So it's like, there's always like a leaning in an action phase, and then there's your feminine phase of just leaning back and allowing. You know, we don't allow ourselves to just be, to soften, relax, and receive. So we give, burn out, because we don't balance it with the receiving end. So it's like you feel it, you start to go into that flow like you're talking about, you know, it's like ebbs and flows. Creation ebbs and flows. We live in an ebb flow yin yang world in universe. So we're
the
constantly
same
in the masculine.
yin and yang is the push and the pull.
Yeah.
Because again, it goes back to we're cyclical beings in harmony with Mother Gaia that works in cycles. And we've come away from that. And I love working with moon cycles. It's new moon today. Yay! It's new moon. That's why I'm talking about creative flow. This is so weird, right? Since working with you this year, right, really intensely, my favourite time used to be the full moon because it was about releasing and going wild and being like, oh. And now, and I didn't like the quietness. I didn't like the absence of action, you know. And then the new moon, I'm like, no, the new moon is my favourite time. I remember you told me, and I was like, what? How can this be your favourite time? It's like there's no moon, there's even just blackness. But I love it because it's like an opportunity to go into our own little cave, so then we can pop out the cave. You know, it's ancient Eastern philosophy. It's like I can hear, you know, Tao and Buddha going, we've been saying this for centuries. It's like, you know, what comes up goes down. Everything's polar opposites. We're living in duality. We're living on this planet Earth. And I am really excited about the questions that are being asked in groups. And it's like, what does awake mean? What is conscious dating? What is our connection with each other? Should I be single? What's my relationship to love? Sex? Is sex bad? You know, should I change my job? Should I do this? What's happening in my body? There's lots of, it's all coming up for everybody at the moment. And we were talking about, before we came on air, we were talking about what we've been going through personally. As cyclical beings and empaths and tuning into vibrations, and especially with Christmas, I felt like I was getting prepared and I knew it was coming. I could feel it coming, and it came a little bit sooner than what I thought. I thought I could hold until Christmas and that empty week was going to be, or that erratic week was going to be Christmas and New Year. But I feel like it's happened now where there's all the chaos, everyone's sort of gone travelling. It's now starting to calm down. Now I can sort of come out of my cave. Like, is it safe to come out now? Because, yeah, there's old stuff come up for me. I had to be sick. Like many of us have to be sick to be still. It's like Mother Nature or God just goes, right, you're not fucking listening to all the signs we're sending you, so that's it, flu, in bed now. And I'm like, oh.
Your body is very intelligent. It will activate sickness to make you, It's actually interesting when you talk about the stillness and the quiet, because I've just spent the last several weeks in the outback. And if you want to ever experience no sound, no noise, go and sit in the desert in outback Australia. And it is honestly the most beautiful healing experience to be in a space where there's no planes, no cars, no people, nothing. For me, a lot of people would be freaked out by that, but for me, I was in heaven. And it was just be able to go to sleep each night and just stillness. And it was just this beautiful, because we don't give ourselves time and space to just be still, to listen to what's within us. And it's interesting, like when you just mentioned about everyone asking all these questions, and we get so caught up in all this logical mind and the ego and projecting and what should I be fucking doing? You know, tell me what I should be doing. And the one place we never stop and listen is in our own womb, our own heart, what's going on within us. And again, coming back to what is it that I desire to create? What do I desire to be? What do I desire to do? What do I desire to have? Knowing that you are an unlimited creative being, you live in an unconditional universe that loves and adores you unconditionally and desires to help you to bring the desires of your heart into physical reality. But it's your job to tune within and get down with your own soul and ask your own being, even having that piece of paper handy, and just say, soul, what do you desire to create, be, do, and have and experience? And listen to that. You know, you don't need to have all these shoulds and it's like, what is in me? That's the most important thing, because the longest relationship you're ever going to be in is with yourself. You have everything you need within you. You have your own connection to God's source creation that knows the best path for you to take, knows your purpose, knows where you're going to go. It's like I said to a client recently, you know, I don't know your fucking purpose. That's your job to go within and ask your own inner being, really uncover. I mean, I knew she was a healer. I could see that. But it's like, what is your own unique relationship to your higher self and creation that's giving you guidance on the things that you're here to create, you know, you're here to share. No one else can ultimately tell you what your purpose is. That's for you to go within and get real with yourself. Yeah,
and you know, sense. I think coming back to, we were talking about indoctrination from school, that's the thing, isn't it? We go to school and what do kids do? You just sit there all day being talked at.
Yep.
And we don't actually get asked that question. We don't ask, okay, kids, now I want you to just go into your inner selves and ask yourselves the question and trust yourself. Learn to be intimate with yourself.
Yeah.
And trust what comes up, because everyone's always seeking approval and they want to be told the right thing. And if it doesn't work out, they can blame them.
Yeah.
They don't have to take accountability.
And if you don't fit into our little box, then you're out of the system. Like I always talk about my brother's journey, and he failed year 8, was basically told by schools and careers and the institution that he was stupid and dumb, he'd never make much of himself. And is that still...
Yeah, I'm just tapping the microphone.
And and he could not fit into that system, and now he's like a very well off entrepreneur, millionaire, does big import export trades, and he is just on fire. Like, he's so passionate and he loves what he does, but he never fitted into the mold. But yet he had, and this is something as well, we take on this almost like mental abuse from the governments, the institutions, the schooling systems that tell you that you have to be like this, you have to tick all these boxes, you must conform into, if you're not a peg that fits into our square hole, then something must be wrong with you, so we're going to label you as crazy or weird, or you've got this wrong with you, and it's I was actually talking to a mother in the outback, and she had 3 kids, and she was traveling Australia with her husband, and she actually said she pulled all 3 of her children out of school last year, and they've gone traveling around Australia. She says, from now on I'll be doing homeschooling for them all the way until they leave high school. And she said, because we found out that they've just done reports recently on the Australian education system, and they found that by the time a child leaves the Australian education system, their sense of creativity, intuition, innovation is completely, they're literally just robotic,
I've known so many people who come here to this space, they're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I've been really worried about it, because to see that go for my own son, and he's very empathic and intuitive. So I'm looking at Steiner as an alternative, because I just can't be a stay-at-home mom. I can't do it.
Amen.
You see my eyes? I was like,
I know, after 2 months in the outback with my child, as soon as I saw my family, I'm like, take my child.
Has it been 2 months?
Almost, coming up to 2 months, it was really...
And can I just commend you on that, because, I do not have the skills. I just thinking about it, can send me over the edge, because I'm like, what if I break down from here to Sydney and I haven't got enough water in the car, and it's on a hot day, So, the fact you've done that, I was like, and I've been telling everybody, I'm just like, my intuitive business coach, she's been doing this. I was like, she's amazing. She's out there. She's like, I'll take on the world.
Don't worry, I've had some days where I'm like, I'm fucking crazy.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Because we do fight around fear, and it's you can look at someone, I was gonna say Dorian Virtue, not a good example. You can look at anyone, maybe that's on stage or running workshops, and go, they've got it all figured out, and how do people doing channelings, and they've been doing it for years. I was thinking Esther Hicks, and it's very easy to go, well, they've got their celebrity, they've done that, and it's like we're constantly being challenged, we constantly have our own fears, and I've been stuck over this app, and it's like, and like you said, because I went on to a group chat, and they were like, what's your idea? And I was like, I'm so effing pumped for the idea, because I don't see anyone else doing this, and it's a tantric app, and it's like, I'm like, if I wait too long, someone else will jump on it, and it will happen. I'll be going, no, and I'll be kicking myself, because it's happened before. But that fear, I was going to talk about, letting go of all those fears. It is a process, and I can't wait to read your book.
Thank you.
Because we do need guidance, because it can be overwhelming, and I'll just mention about health and well-being market being saturated, in the sense that I know I've picked up a magazine last year, and it's like just trying to sell you oracle cards and crystals and candles and paraphernalia, and it's as simple as a laptop or a pen and paper. It's like you don't need anything, it's just you and pen and paper. And I've actually got bits of coloured card all around my house. I've got them in little sections I've categorised. I'm like, that's to do with that, and all my ideas are there. So it's like when you can pick them out of the hat. I think I read Richard Branson does this. He has a little pocket, little tiny book, and he writes all his little ideas down. So whenever he has made a successful business, he'll refer to that. Okay, let's run with that idea. And there's it's like not so much of what you do. You don't need to go and buy all these journals and have, spend all this money. It's moving out of the way. I think I said this to a few people. The longer I'm on this spiritual path, the more it seems to be, or that spirituality or being spiritual just means letting the ego dissolve, no matter how you let that happen or what works for you, and just moving out of your own way so that you can be a clear pathway for spirit, God, to work through you.
Yeah.
It's actually that simple.
A vessel. Yeah. And I think, when you're really aligned with your higher self, God, source, whatever label we want to put on it, you feel a very deep peace and a very deep calm and a deep sense of knowing that everything's okay, because ultimately it is. And it's usually when we're carrying a lot of traumas or those fears or those pains, whatever that's, coming through, it's like we've got to look at that, heal and release that, because when we just let that stuff go, then who we are, which is love consciousness, naturally takes up space. There's none of this trying to be spiritual, trying to find my purpose, or try. That's coming from the logical ego. It's about, you're embodying. It's like the essence of who you really are underneath all that fear, all that junk. And I think the other thing too that's coming through is like ego in itself, its job there, coming up to half an hour. Just quickly on that, I mean, ego, when it starts bashing up ego, is just more ego. And ego in of itself, its job is designed ultimately to support your high vibrational spiritual being in this very dense environment. Its job is actually to remind you when to sleep, procreate, shit, eat, all the physical things.
Run away from toxic people.
Yeah, it's like reaction. And the ego primarily is constantly out here, because it's a material world. And when we let that run our life and our show, that's when we end up in trouble, because you, the master, have gone to sleep, you're caught up in stories and the reactions about here. And so that's like, Amanda was just saying, bit by bit, just, with meditation or just, relaxing, coming home into your body, making a commitment each day to do things to support your connection to your inner being, then you're going to start coming out of the ego and start living in the present moment. I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. With awakening, it's about coming home to the now. And it's as simple as that. But then the ego wants to create this big fucking
5-10-year plan.
Let's have a fucking journal about a 10-day plan on how to be awake. And it's just like, you just have to be just present, focus on your breathing, sensations in your hands, and just observe. Just be here now, like be in your body, like just observe. Like when you connect to your breathing, you're connecting to God, because the breath of life is the divine that flows in and out of you each moment, every day. So if you just tune into God, God will tell you the state of your consciousness, because when you've got really toxic, limiting ego thoughts going on, your breathing will be very shallow and rapid. And when you're connected to the love consciousness of who you are, you'll feel very calm. Your breathing will be very deep. And it's just as simple as that. So if you want to get away, just observe your breathing. It's just done. Done, yeah.
I love that. Because we overcomplicate everything.
Yeah. It's like...
And it does take practice. I remember in our coaching sessions, and you're like, what message wants to come through? I still use that. I still have it in my head and go, wait, what message wants to come through me? This isn't about me trying to think of something. What message wants to come through? And I love it when it does, because you go, it could be something I watch on Netflix. It could be something I see in the street. And it's like, and I'll have a phrase. And it's like, I've got to use that.
Yeah.
And my latest one, it was in Tantra. It was like, I was just getting so frustrated with everyone's interpretation of Tantra and sex. So I just clearly went, there's sex and then there's Tantra. Please don't get them confused.
Yeah.
I was just like, Tantra is love. And sex is not. Like they can be. That's the whole point. They can be. They should be. They, what shoulda, woulda, coulda, judgment.
Absolutely.
But it was just like, simplify everything. But yeah, that takes practice. And it's like anything. It's like swimming. I say like any skill. Swimming, crunches, running, whatever skill it is, art, it gets easier and easier and easier. So then it becomes nature.
Yeah.
So when you've been doing it for a long time, you go, that's just easy. You just go into your room space and go, well, what wants to come through? Poof, it comes through.
Yeah.
To someone else, it's like, what? How do you do that?
I know. And but it's taking practice. Like, I was being very egoic, and I think one of the little stories that once, I think I remember telling you this story about the Buddhist monk up in it's out in the mountains somewhere.
Tell me, you were a Buddhist monk?
Oh, no. He was a Buddhist. He's a beautiful Thai monk, and he's like in his 60s or 70s or something. But he's just so peaceful and so funny. Like, he's the funniest teacher. I love going to his workshops because he cracks you up. Like, he came one day with a tinfoil hat and talking about mobile phones. He has a little cat that he takes everywhere with him. And he actually, at the end of a talk one day, he pulled out a non-stick frying pan, and he said, wrong way. He was like standing there, and he goes, "Everybody, tell me, what is enlightenment?" And people kind of just have their like,
Good.
you know, like their little, oh yeah, it's this and this. And he goes, no. And he pulls out a non-stick frying pan. He goes, enlightenment is a non-stick frying pan. Shit come into your pan. It doesn't stick. It just go. And I was just cracking up laughing. And I was like, it is that simple. So when you are just present in your body, you're aware of your breathing, you're observing the thoughts, you're observing, because you are that vast consciousness, that stillness, that peace, that all-loving awareness that just observes the thoughts like clouds passing through your sky. That's who you really are. You are that observer, the witness behind all that is. But when you become identified as the thoughts and the stories and my body, my job, then we lose that connection to our inner being, to our true source within us, and we become disconnected. And that's when we get out here and we get off purpose.
Another little exercise I gave someone yesterday actually is that when it's meditation, but when you have that negative thought, so it could be, oh, that idea is rubbish, you know, just don't even bother telling anyone about that. Catch it. So catch it, throw it out the window, and replace it with a positive one. Even if you don't believe it, the whole fake it till you make it. So it's like, my idea is fucking awesome. Okay, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I quite believe that, but yeah, okay. So it happens again, and you just keep doing it. It's just like a baseball game, you know. It's like you catch it, chuck it out. It's like, don't attach to it. Stop attaching. Okay, just let it go. And then it won't stick like the non-stick frying pan. I love that.
It's just like observe. Yeah, enlightenment, and actually that should be a title of a book. Maybe I'll write that. Enlightenment is a non-stick frying pan.
Yes.
Because I think it's so really at the end of the day, your purpose, your life, everything is actually very simple. And I remember years ago when I was a landscape architect, one of our head designers actually said, simplicity, when you look at a design that is just so beautiful and so simple, it's actually the hardest thing to do. Like when you see something designed, you think, wow, why didn't I think of that? Well, that's just so beautifully simple. But simplicity can, be the hardest thing that we can do because we complicate it with all these stories. We're like the Buddhist monk said, we put all this shit in our frying pan. We create all these rituals. Like I think at one point he started getting big, colourful Easter eggs. And he's like, and then you want to make enlightenment some ritual. And he started putting all these like streamers and candy bars in his frying pan. And then we have to do all these certain things and then maybe we get enlightened. But it's just like, clear it out of the way. It's just observing what is.
And to come away to contradict every sort of religious belief out there, you have your own unique message. That's the beauty of life, and you have your own unique way of getting there.
Yes.
So there is no, and I like to refer to the middle path quite a lot in Buddhism. You know, it's like it's about finding your own center.
Yeah.
You know, it's like don't go down the rabbit hole too far that way or too far that way. Don't get off balance there, or the yin and the yang. It's that balance and centeredness. And yeah, it's like,
what do you want? How do you want to do things?
Yeah, we're not, again, imagine if that was taught in school. It's like every one of y'all is like this unique, beautiful gift of God. So what's your unique message? Imagine if we worked on that when we started at 5 years old, how powerful we would be by the time we're in our 20s. So there wouldn't be, and look at it. Accountants are getting redundant because of software packages. I was told that years ago. All these jobs that we think of for life, they are getting outskilled, and we are becoming more creative because there's a yearning for it.
There's a desire for a different way. Because that's why certain people don't understand that. It's like when certain industries dissolve, when certain jobs dissolve, it's not a bad thing. It's that usually on an individual and then a collective consciousness, there's been a desire for something new to come through. And I think that's what I love about the book, You Got Me Conversations with God. It's honestly the best book I've ever read. And just so thank you. God's been trying to tell me
that came through. So I can't take credit for that. It was like, girl, this is what, don't get her flowers. She doesn't want fucking flowers, gonna fucking die. Buy her this fucking book. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll just do what you say.
God's literally been telling me for 10 years, read this book. And I've just been like, one day. And when I got it from you, I was like, I have to read it.
I was like, I will action this then if you cannot, Miss Elle.
So I highly recommend Conversations with God because it really puts purpose and everything into. And it was actually interesting, one of the chapters, God actually said your soul actually doesn't really care what you ultimately do or create because your soul is just it. Like it is happy, it's fulfilled, it's just love, and you just simply being here in this physical body is enough. And this is the thing, like even the conversation God we talked about, like the biggest problem is people don't believe they're enough and they don't have enough. And that's the most toxic belief system, and a lot of the times we don't do our purpose work because we feel like we're not good enough. Who am I to do this? I'm not safe enough. And so again, like what Amanda was just saying, they just chuck that shit out the window and just keep moving. Okay, I'm going to trust my desires, I'm going to trust myself, I'm going to back myself, and I'm going to believe in myself, and I'm just going to fucking do it anyway.
And I think that's where the process can be or feel complicated. If you're like me, I like to have a big blank canvas, big blank book, and I can start writing. But it's almost like we've been given a book with all these jumbled up letters that we have to unlearn to then write a new book. So it just feels like, it's all just too hard. But
you have to deprogram yourself from everything.
Yeah, but it can be a nice gentle process in the sense of it's like the more you take a step of trust and faith, then it does just sort of unlearn and unravel, and then you have so many of these kind of spiritual experiences that it's hard to explain them because it's just like it just is. And then other people, then you can compare yourself to other people and go, oh, they're where I used to be, and look how far I've come, and to celebrate all of that. And one burning thing I had to mention throughout this whole year, especially with COVID, I think is very, very relatable. With a tumultuous year, it's the end of the year, we're wrapping things up, we're reflecting and kind of going, woof, what was all that COVID shit about, and pandemic, is that going to happen again? It feels like I've gone from my lowest of lows to reclaiming who I am at the same time as up-leveling at a really fast rate. And a huge thank you for holding space and facilitating that, because I've literally gone from I was too scared to invest any money in coaching with you, Elle, of like, this is the last bit of money I have because my business is being shut down. And being in that fear, lack, scarcity of like, how is this going to happen? How? And within this year, my car finance payments have doubled and I've paid them easily, got a new car. That's really reliable and sexy and amazing. We really love that car now. We really love that car. There's no better car for us right now. I'm like, this is always supposed to be our car. This is the one. And I get it down like, this is our car with leather seats that are heated, and I feel really fucking safe. I love it. And powerful. I'm to the point where I've manifested in, like you say, it's not just about money. I've had a brand new bike with a child seat on the back that I've had my $1,000 bought for me. I've had a new laptop. I've had a new phone. I don't know if you see the cover. I've got a nice new sexy cover of that.
Yeah. Come in all different ways. Is that the one that?
That's the one I bought from you. Because I smashed it and I was like, I've got to stop dropping this phone, man.
It's a nice cover.
So and it's like that would be $150. And I'm like, cool, no worries. Like my whole attitude. I even have been paying a red light fine, $480 right before Christmas, and I've gone, do you know what? That's okay.
Yeah.
Because I haven't had one of those for 10 years. So let's just look at it a different way. If I just treat it like a car tax or a road tax, or like changing my whole energy rather than like, oh, fucking hell, I'm going to fight this and I'm not going to fucking pay. I shouldn't have to fucking pay. Like, it's not fair. I was like, do you know what? I've seen the photos. I looked on the website.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, Jesus. Yeah. I literally went through the skin of my teeth going, I'm going to get caught. And it's like, you know what? It's made me a better driver, blah, blah, blah. But it's the whole attitude of, that's okay, I'm supported.
Yeah. How do you respond to it?
It's an energy. Yeah. And I keep waking up and there's more money in my account. I'm like, how is this happening?
Yeah.
I wanted $2,000. I said to you the other day, didn't I? I was like, then there's 3. And I was playing this. I'm like, okay, let's do 4. Okay, I want 5, motherfucker. Let's do 5. Come on. And I had 4.5. I was like, like, where has this come from? And I know logically it's like, well, you had X number of clients and you worked X number of hours. And it's like, but it's not like that.
You ask the how after it's manifested. So one of my favourite teachers, just quickly before we wrap up, but if you ever really want to learn the mastery of really beautiful, sexy money making, there's that beautiful wealth coach, Genevieve Rackham. I always recommend her work because she's very much a pioneer about creating wealth from a place of pleasure and playfulness and sexiness. And it's all about you embodying that energy. And and it's just like money gets to be fun, it gets to be playful, and it's like cleaning up your limiting beliefs about that. And I think it's coming back to like money and your purpose. It's like, what are your beliefs holding back? And I remember her one day said, you don't ask the how before it's manifested, you always ask the how after it's manifested, because then you'll just see, but you're kind of led and pulled. Like I've been recently given guidance to close down an old business that's been with me for several years, Elle and Sabrina, and then it created space now for like 2-3 new businesses to come through. And at the same time, it's like, oh, like, what is this? But you're just trusting and following and implementing, taking action. And then day by day, bit by bit, it starts making more sense. It starts opening up. So even if things don't make sense to you right now, they don't feel clear, you kind of feel like you're in this murkiness, just keep taking little actions day by day. Just what is in me that wants to come out of me? What do I want to create today? What am I being called to kind of share or do or whatever? And just moving on that. And then suddenly it just starts opening up, being more clear. And even people at the high performing levels of soulpreneurship, entrepreneurship, they still go through their levels, new devils, different levels of fear, different levels of not being really sure what they're doing, what they're creating. But the difference is that you don't buy into those fears anymore. You know, like I still have fears when I go to create or launch something, but rather than identifying with it, I go, okay, I call her Scarlett, take the back seat, sweetheart, we're fucking doing this anyway. If they burn me at the stake, they burn me at the stake. I'll just keep fucking coming back.
And this is it. We are living in such, and I use the word exciting a lot because it does excite me. We're living in this age where we can do all these things. It's like, you know, 6 months ago, someone said, or 12, okay, let's just go back to accounting at the desk. So you're going to move to Australia? Yeah, right, I'm going to move to Australia. I've looked at that before, didn't work. Next. And it's like, right, so you're going to become a personal trainer and you're going to like get really super fit and you're going to inspire other people to do an Iron Woman, and actually your best friend is to spin the channel. What the fuck? I'm no inspiration. I'm not that fit. You know, it's like, and then it's like, yeah, and you're also going to be massage. No, I'm never going to massage people. I have no interest in putting my hands on anyone else's bodies, let alone with oil, or keep my fingernails short. That's not me. I don't want to massage people. Are you crazy? No way. And then they're like, oh yeah, and by the way, then you're going to learn Tantra. And then just when you think that life is cruisy and easy, you're going to invest some more money and create an app. And you're like, well, hang on, I've built websites. That's okay. Everyone's doing that now. But an app? Come on. And it's like, yeah, fucking app. Because, and you know what? My ego was my best friend that day, because I was like, imagine going, oh, so what have you been up to, Amanda? You know, got drunk over Christmas? No, actually, I've got a fucking app. Check it out. You can download it, one touch pay, boom, earning passive income, bam, 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 bam. And I was like, she's got a fucking app? She's got what? How does she got people doing coding and does she learn coding? How is she doing this? And it's like, you just can't, it's one step at a time, it's one day at a time. And we still have these days of going, what am I doing? What am I doing? Do I not want an easy life? Is there something wrong with me? Do I want to keep challenging myself? And it's like, I love it. I love it. And we can celebrate and release all this creative flow. And I'm loving the millennials, and they're seeing this and going, oh, I wish I was born in their age, you know, or my son's age. And I'm so excited to see what my son's going to achieve. You're like, you're 3 and you're watching this, and it's like, yeah, check out mummy, who's earning the money, you know, got the business, you know, not afraid of judgment or ridicule or labels or what other people say in the playground, all that kind of stuff. Dealt with all the self-limiting beliefs that I've had to pass on through our generation from our parents as well as our own. You know, we've had to clear out a lot. And rather than having to kind of shift through our past life trauma, is we can actually just let go of that and go, okay, it's always going to have residual stuff coming up. That's fine. But actually, it's a good time to just go. Just get on that water slide and just enjoy.
Follow the flow.
I get so excited. I get so energized. I'm like an energized bunny. When we start talking, it's like, yes. It's that little bit, I tell everyone, that little business orgasm. Because, and again, just before we do close, we've got to run to lunch. Is I remember I remember the feeling, right? I'm a very feeling-based person. And I came to you and I wanted to know how to make my website awesome, like technical skills, practical skills, and I could come out the other side. And instead you're like poking a stick into my soul. And I was like, no. And you're like, I'm going to trigger you. And I was like, I can handle that. I'm humble. I can do this. Sometimes I did cry. Sometimes I resisted. It's like, no, I don't want to use that word. You're like, why? Let's clear it up. Let's dig deep. And I'm like, no, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go to that dark place. It's so hard, these moments of like, who are you? And I was like, I'm a tantric witch. And it's taken a lot of courage to get to that space. And you're like, no, who are you? And I'm like, I'm a tantric witch. And he was like, no, who are you? And I was like, oh my God, I don't know anymore. I thought I knew. And then it was like this elated feeling. It was like once that broke down, it was like, yeah, that doesn't feel right. It feels too dense and vibrant. I say witchy, and I'm like, well, I'm all witchy, because it's like, it's not right. What is it? And it was like, the love queen. It was like bursting out. It was like, it's just love.
Yeah.
And that's what you're saying about, like, more, like, the more the ego can dissolve, the more we can literally be pure love consciousness.
Just let through what's through. Because I think sometimes, we do get caught up with labels or,
Titles.
And I know I did that for years. Like, I'd literally go around in a circle head fuck of, like, what do I call myself? And then it was actually, funny enough, after ayahuasca, I literally got stripped of, like, calling myself any label. And then the name that came through was just like Ellen Divine. And I realized, and the message came through, everyone's surname is Divine. We're all from God, we're all from Source. And my ego was like, you can't put Divine after your name, Ellen. That's just so egoic. And I was like, well, for me, it's like co-creating with God, co-creating with the universe. So it's like what you were saying before, you become the vessel and you just let what's in you, what wants to come through you, out of you. And some of the shit that comes through me is some crazy shit, but I'm like, okay, God, you want to go there. And that's actually one book I want to write, is God is a Crazy Motherfucker. Because I'm sure there's going to have a lot of religious zealots that are probably going to attack me. So I'm like, luckily I'm using a sub-name. But it's like, we're here to create. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you're a creator. You're here to create. You're here to have fun. You're here to play. You're here to share what's within you with the world. You're about allowing what wants to emerge out of you into the world. It's not about trying to get something outside of you in. It's like what wants to come out of you. And just very quickly, to summarize on that, it takes a lot of faith and courage to follow your purpose. Because if you are listening to this, you are like what I call a visionary. You're a change maker. You're a light worker. You're an earth angel. You are here to birth a new earth, a new consciousness. And your path is not necessarily going to be easy, because you are going to be faced with old programs, people not getting what you do. I had a client recently. She's an amazing light worker, very powerful, very gifted and talented. And when she started opening up and sharing her work, and the family found out, I think it was her mother-in-law said, you can't do that because you can't talk about wealth creation because you don't have a fucking degree in accountancy or financial counselling. Like, what are you doing?
That old chestnut.
Yeah, so you are going to get that. And the thing is, it's up to you to stick the course no matter what. And then it's when you start having, and I've seen this in my own experience and people I've worked with, it's when you start getting people, when you start making a living with your gifts, when you start getting a big following, suddenly those sort of boohoos. Yeah.
Half the reason is I can shove it in people's faces and go, there you go, Dad, Mum, got a fucking app. That'll shut your fuck.
This is what I do.
Yeah, it's like, oh, she actually isn't fluffy. And,
Exactly. And I think it's not. But it is, you're going to get your haters, you're going to get people that don't get what the fuck you do. My family still don't know what I do. My mum has actually stopped telling people when they ask, what does your daughter do for a living? She's like, I just don't know. So don't expect people that you're not here to kind of stick to the mainstream. You're not here to do what's been done before. And so I credit you for taking that step to really honour and respect what's coming out of you, wants to come through for you, because it's going to be new stuff. It's breaking into a new consciousness, a new embodiment, and a lot of this world is not going to get what the fuck you do. But I can promise you that when you follow what's in you, you share what's in you, you let what's in you out, what's in you will liberate you, will support you, it will guide you, it will show you the way, and you are financially, emotionally, mentally, spiritually supported. Allow yourself to be. So that's my end note on that.
And you're not alone. I think that's the whole reason why I wanted to start this podcast, is that we're not alone. We can feel so lonely because we are the minority, not the majority, and we're going against the mainstream. But there's so many more of us, and that's why I keep saying it's an exciting time, because it can be a very anxious, nervous time. We can turn that into excitement and be like, oh, where's this going to go? This is really interesting. And you think about, let's just take another wider approach on this, that we are beings of many, many lifetimes, and there's a whole shit ton of us. Let's look at that at the moment on the planet. We're here to evolve and learn and grow our consciousness, and it's a very tiny blip of time, and I love being around young people because they kind of go, in their 20s, and they're like, well, I've got so much time ahead of me. I'm going to do this and this and this and this and this. And you're like, I love that. And there's a big part of me that wants to go back to that, because women are 40s going, woo, I don't want to be on my deathbed. And I'm like, should have done a fucking app. Should have at least tried and done a shit app. At least I said I've done a shit app. I'm like, I fucking did it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that sense of achievement.
Celebrate. And I think that's one thing as well, part of your purpose is living in joy and celebrating the small wins. Like, I think I just started a brand new podcast only 4 weeks ago, and I got a notification that some people had started sharing it, and I just celebrated that, So even if like you get your first sale, celebrate. Like, celebration is the most underutilized, underused thing, because when you're celebrating, you're raising a vibration, and when you're feeling joyful and happy, you're living in alignment with purpose. So really, our ultimate purpose is to create and to live a life of joy.
And that worked with my manifestation. You told me, you were like, celebrate any of it, like write it down, draw it, look at everything you've brought into your life the past 12 months, and it's been amazing. And the more I've added to that list, it's still December. It's like even the relationships, the people I've drawn into my life, to the point. So when I said earlier about my lowest low, my highest high, spending the last dollar in my bank account thinking, oh my God, am I doing the right thing? Am I going to pay the rent? To I've been at a 4-star hotel, I decided to just splash out and treat myself. I finally got my new bra that I wanted all year. I got 3 pairs of new earrings because I wanted to treat myself. I got expensive champagne that I chose. I took my son away. It was very, very liberating. And just to be able, new jeans, anything. I was just like, just up-leveled everything. Yeah. It was like, because I'm worth it. And then the power of loving myself, finally, after all these years of giving it away, was an incredible experience of just going, I paid for this by myself. Yeah. I made this happen and created all of this. Yeah. And that's okay. And it's not about being selfish either. There's so many people that I've said to a few times, I'm like, it's okay to be selfish. Yeah. Like, it's actually really important. Yeah. And you got to put yourself first, because no one else is. Yeah. And it's not anyone else's job to put yourself first. Yeah. So you put yourself first so you can be the best for everybody else. But yeah, thank you so much, Ellen.
No,
I think we deserve a lunch break after that.
And thank you for listening.
Yeah, and I just hope, it's been so good doing this lesson live. I'm glad you're back from your travels.
I'm still kind of traveling. Soul's kind of calling me to Tassie next, but so I'm still on this kind of I don't know. So, but yeah, I did hit an emu in my car, so I have to come back in March to get this done. And did you know what's really funny? Emu represents the divine feminine.
I was gonna say, what does that symbolize? I was like, thank you, emu, for showing me.
It was something I don't want to repeat ever again. So if you're ever driving in the outback, if you see one emu, stop your friggin' car, because behind that one emu is a whole herd. So that's the rules of the outback, is that if you see one emu, you can guarantee there's a whole tribe crossing the road behind him. So I didn't know that, and I learned the hard way. So yeah. So if you're in the outback, just when you see one emu, just slow right down, because I can promise you there'll be more coming. Yeah. Just a random end to the podcast.
Emus and kangaroos, spiders, snakes, anything that'll kill you, bite you. I know, I love it here. Yeah, why did I move it? And I'll tell you why. I moved it for expansion. Yeah. And because I needed to evolve. Because I just want to share that moment again of like being 32. I'd changed career a few times, being back at a desk thinking, and I was having panic attacks at least once a day from, just feeling suffocated, smoked, not smoked. Pressure. Yeah, just the mental pressure of like, I've got to get everything done, and I've got to turn it back up here and do the same fucking thing again. And looking at the computer going, I haven't been born and been put on this planet Earth for this purpose. This is just not it. And if I don't get out of this situation soon enough, I will end up pregnant, and I'll end up getting a mortgage with a white picket fence, and I'll be stuck. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm just saying that I knew there was more for me before I wanted to go down that road. And I just had to take a leap of faith. Everyone was going, how are you going to make it work? How are you going to make it work? I was going, I don't know, I'm just going to go. And it wasn't even a university degree. I told everyone I was going to uni, and it was actually TAFE. And I was like, so I bought a 6-month visa for TAFE. And then when I know TAFE, that's a government-funded, little college. You know, it's like anyone could do it. So I just bought time. I bought myself 6 months, and then bought another 6 months, and then I bought a year. And I was like, I just knew a loophole was going to come up. And I was watching things like and I remember even my college mates were like, how are you going to stay then? And I was like, baby, I'm going to make this happen. Like, do you not know me? Do you not know me now? Oh, I've got to show you this. I've got to show you this. I've got to show you this. This is why we're hanging on. Okay. So going back to manifestation and the power that you have to manifest, and you are manifesting into your life, even if you're conscious of it or not, is I had a client yesterday, and I was talking about the fact that I'm pushing for citizenship so I can get onto the ladder to get a mortgage and then bring my mum over. So they're big goals that I'm talking about. And she was like, oh, no. There are no houses around here because I've been looking. And I was like, well, it's not as expensive as Sydney, right? And she's like, yeah, well, I've sold my house. I've got my bank. I've got this job. Blah, blah, blah. And there are no houses under $700. Like, you just cannot even get a unit around here. Trust me, because I've looked. And I know what you're thinking. And I was like dumbfounded because, and I was on the toilet this morning going, I know what I should have said. And I was like, do you not know me? Have you not met who I really am? I was like, because I remember trying to defend it saying, I've done this before. I've manifested a 3-bedroom house at a time of, oh yeah, but that was different. No, it was during the pandemic because we're single mums and we are not up against people with 2 incomes. But I've done it. I have already proven that you can do that. Yeah. And it got me this morning because I was like, wow, like I just want to like grab all of the negativity into a little ball and whack it out the window, like with a baseball bat so it goes really, really, really far away. And just be like, if you can't have done it, oh, well, then it can't have been done. It's like, watch me go, motherfucker. Because by the time all these things have come into play, the market is predicted to crash. I'm going to find the exact home that is exactly perfect for me at the right time, because that's the way it always happens. And don't ever, this is one little takeaway, if you've lasted this long, maybe take this on board with all of Elle's suggestions, is sometimes don't tell people. Yeah, because that's the opening for criticism. Yeah. Or like, well, how are you going to do that? Or that costs money, or I've already tried. Just when it's something, I mean, I've been telling everyone about this app because I'm at that energy that I'm just like, you can say anything, and I was like, nah, it doesn't. You hold it. Frying pan, right? Non-stick frying pan. But yeah, you're always opening up to people to kind of poke you with that stick again, and it's like, no, you don't need to do that. You can keep it as your little baby, keep it as your little surprise. You're like, I'm doing this regardless. Yes. And so then when it becomes successful, then everyone can celebrate. Yeah. And it's like, I think they call it, just don't let the cows come and munch your grass. Like, you've got to... I beg your pardon. So your little seed... It depends what kind of cows they are, Elle. It's another podcast. Nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I'll take 2. I think it's like, you've got to sometimes put a fence around your creative work and just focus on your work, stay in your own lane. Don't worry about what anyone else is doing or comparing yourself to others. Everyone's got their own kind of thing. You focus on your lane, put a nice protective little fence around that, because when those seedlings are being planted, they need to be protected from the cows, which are your family members, your schooling system, your government, your institutions that will want to come in and just... Okay, so don't let the cows into your little patch, okay? It's getting very sexual right now. I think it's time we're going to close. Something's happening. Cows? Munching. Oh, yeah. Yeah, no. Okay. Thank you so much for listening. Any questions? What's your best contact, Elle? How the hell do we get hold of you? Yeah, I know, right? I know. It's like I've had people reach out, Elaine, where the fuck are you? Like, whatever's going on. Yeah. So my new site is divinepurpose.love. That one there, and it's very simple. It's basically, so you can sign up there, and there's a free masterclass training that's just been released. So funny, life purpose. I think this is God like confirming you're on the right path, Ellen. You're doing the right thing. That's why. That's when I opened. I was like, oh yeah, let's do that.
So yeah, there's actually a free training on there at the moment called the 3 Keys to Unlock and Live Your Soul's Prosperous Purpose. Yeah, so that's basically at the moment it's literally like my website and email list is how, yeah, and YouTube. So that's their podcast.
And if you've just come on, we're just finishing. I'm so sorry. I will get the playback published as soon as you can. It's a very, very good show. So make sure you tune in. Any questions you've got about life purpose? You heard how to get hold of Ellen.
And what about you, darling?
Helen, I'm like, Helen? Who's Helen?
Helen.
Hey, Helen.
What's your best contact, sweet?
I don't have one. I'm in a cave now. So we either got the website sacredlovequeen.com or just tantrawithamanda at gmail. And I did do a shout out on the last podcast to thank Ellen for that because that came through. It was like, Tantra with Amanda. I was like, no. And you're like, I'm just getting spirit saying Tantra with Amanda. That's going to be something for you. So that has stuck. Tantrawithamanda at gmail.com. So please feel
as long
free
as
to
you
email.
like it, as long as it feels good and alive.
I do. I want to make it into a show. It's like Tantra with Amanda. Woo! Okay.
Just rhymes.
What's about cows and munchies? No. That's just Elle being,
I wasn't
on
just
our own
talking
too
about
long.
cows. I think the sex tantra queen was bringing something else to it.
I think maybe we're being joined by some sexual spirits here. Something's happening in the room.
All right, well, we've got
Better close.
Well, 1 hour and 10 minutes. Shit. Okay, lots of love.
Lots of love. Bye. Bye.